Welcome to Inside the College. I'm Dr. Maggie McMenamin, president of Union County College. My guest for today's episode is the chair of the Union County Board of County Commissioners, Professor Rebecca Williams. Welcome, Professor Williams.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here, Dr. McMenamin.
We're thrilled to have you here on set today. 2 years to the week, I believe, since the start of the pandemic in New Jersey.
Right, absolutely.
So it's wonderful to be with you today, face to face, and we are mask optional now at Union County College, consistent with Governor Murphy's order. So the first thing we'd like to start with, beyond our welcome, is to learn more about you. My students always ask, how did you get here? So we want to learn more about Rebecca Williams. Now I know you're a professor at Essex County College, but let's go back. Where were you born? Tell us about where you went to school.
Okay. I was born in the beautiful state of Brooklyn. We call it our own state, in New York City. And I was raised there until about 5 when my family moved to Queens. So I was raised in Jamaica, Queens by my parents, and I had 3 siblings. And I have always been interested in the humanities ever since I was a child. I used to write plays and so forth. And I also was interested in fine arts. So I attended the High School of Art and Design in New York City.
What did you want to do when you grew up? When you were in high school, did you want to be an artist?
I wanted to be a painter/playwright.
Wow.
So that's what I started to study, painting. But I'll tell you, there were so many students who were so incredibly talented that I actually felt kind of intimidated. So I shifted more into the writing aspect of what I wanted to do and became a motion picture production major, and went on to college to first major in filmmaking.
Where did you go to college for undergrad?
For undergrad and grad, I went to the City College of New York, CUNY, and for graduate school I went to the Graduate Center also at CUNY and started working toward my doctorate.
What was your major?
English. Yeah. Initially it was filmmaking. I changed it to English, and so graduated with an MA, with a BA and an MA in English literature.
When you were studying at CUNY, both undergrad and at the graduate level, what was your plan for the future? Were you thinking, I'm going to be a playwright, a professional playwright? We have a lot of English majors here and some wonderful writers.
Yes.
So
as I know, I've read the literary magazine that you all put out. Beautiful work.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I shifted. I still was interested in film, and I actually did work on a number of low-budget films, music videos, and so forth. But my writing priorities, kind of took precedence. So I just shifted more into screenwriting and short story writing and that kind of thing. So the playwriting was sort of left by the wayside, although I still enjoy, going to plays and especially reading work by emerging artists and promoting the work of emerging playwrights. So I still have that in me.
Emerging playwrights like college students, I imagine you read a lot of their work.
Absolutely.
Now, how did you get into New Jersey? Now that you're a graduate, you're born in New York, educated in New York. How did we get you? How did we get to be so lucky?
It's so funny. My partner at the time and we were living in Brooklyn. After, for a while we lived in Brooklyn, and it was the LGBTQ Pride Parade on Christopher Street that we were walking through the parade, and there was a booth saying, hey, come to Plainfield. We're an open community. You can buy a beautiful home. So one Sunday we weren't doing anything, so we decided to go to Plainfield, New Jersey, on the train, and it was an eye-opening experience. They had beautiful properties, and the properties were way less than what we would have had to pay for a home in Brooklyn. We lived right near Pratt Institute on St. James Place, and those homes were hundreds of thousands of dollars. So New Jersey seemed to be a better option, and the city of Plainfield is very welcoming to the LGBTQ community. So that's how we ended up buying a home here, and I've been here now since 1998. So I've been here for quite
almost a quarter of a century.
That's
here
right.
in Union County. Wonderful.
Right,
Our
right.
benefit. Now,
Yes.
we know that you're a professor of English at Essex County College.
Yes.
Tell us about your work as an English professor. We'll get to the politics next, but we want to know more about Rebecca Williams, the person.
Well, when I said it, I was really happy to be here, I should say that I taught actually at NYU Film School for a while, still working on that aspect of my career. When I moved to New Jersey, however, I sort of let that go by the wayside, and my first academic teaching experience in English was right here at Union County College.
Yay!
So I taught here for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and then I was offered a full-time position at Essex County College, and I've been there for the past 16 years, from 2006 to the present. So, but that's sort of my pathway.
You meandered. One last question about it. Do you still do any painting?
No. I do a little bit of sketching, but not any painting. That's my dream kind of shifted from that. But I'm completely happy with it, because to me, any aspect of the fine arts that one is engaged and involved in is fine. I don't
Creative,
privilege
visual, performing, whatever it is.
I don't privilege one over the other, but my real passion really is writing. So.
All right, so wonderful history.
Thank you.
Fascinating career. And you're not a Mets fan, I know that, from Queens. But how did you get into politics?
Okay.
Help us with that.
Well, moving from a huge place like Brooklyn, like New York City, to a city like Plainfield, which is a city, but it's a smaller city, you get to know your elected officials. You actually get to feel like you make a difference. So my very first interaction with city government there was they had given me a citation for an improper leaf pickup. I went to the city council meeting and I said, harumph, harumph, this is not right. And so they took care of that issue, but later I was asked to kind of get involved in a couple of local campaigns. So I did. I worked as a campaign volunteer, as a campaign manager, and then finally in 2010, I decided to run. There was
For city council.
For Plainfield City Council. It was someone who we thought needed to be replaced with some fresher ideas. So I ran and I won, and I served actually on Plainfield City Council for 7.5 years before moving on to what was then called the Freeholder Board.
Our democracy is dependent on regular citizens like you and me and the people who are listening to our broadcast to step up and say they're willing to run. So first I want to say thank you for getting involved, because I know it's not easy to run for elected office, especially when sometimes the public villainizes politicians, let's say. But your run in to become a freeholder and now commissioner, tell us about that. Tell us about becoming a freeholder in Union County and now rising to the level of commissioner chair.
Well, a confluence of events took place. There was an assembly person who left office, creating a vacancy, and former freeholder Linda Carter, whom I know you know well, Linda was elevated to the assembly, to that position, which created a vacancy in the Freeholder Board. So I rallied around my supporters. I sent a letter to the powers at the county and said, I would like to be considered for this vacancy. I have a great deal of experience and I really want to help people and perform some public service at the county level. So a convention was held and I was appointed to that open slot. And I stayed there until the next election cycle, and then I had to run like everyone else.
Run across the county as opposed to just running in Plainfield.
Right, 21 municipalities. And what was great about that was I got to learn a lot more about all the other municipalities, their particular concerns, what works there, what works in this other place, and to really meet all the elected officials across the county, and to learn how, part of the idea is to learn what resources can we provide to, say, Winfield or Cranford or Plainfield or Elizabeth. What are the distinctions in these communities, and how can we help?
As opposed to just cookie cutter the same for every community?
Right, because as you well know, every community is different. They have different needs, and we have to meet the needs of the variety of constituencies in each town, each city.
So you began your career as an elected official really as a concerned citizen, and you attended a town meeting.
Right.
And from that one visit, from that citation, I don't know how you improperly pick up leaves, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. From that improper leaf citation, that led to you becoming more involved in campaigns.
Right.
And then as a campaign manager, and then ultimately as a candidate.
Yeah.
So students, our students here at Union, and your students at Essex, and the people who are watching this broadcast, that's almost a path to running for office, would you say?
Yeah, and I would say that as well. The other great thing about living in a place like Plainfield or in Elizabeth or a Cranford, et cetera, is that, as I said, you get to know your elected officials and you get to be involved in community activities. I was appointed to the Plainfield Cultural and Heritage Commission while I was in as a resident, and I got to, engage in a number of cultural activities. I ended up working part-time, even while I was teaching, at the Plainfield Historical Society. I was the education director, so I was able to, help create programming for our residents. I love history as well as literature, so I was able to marry those two and really, do something. And we had a number of students come in, student projects. I actually had, an intern who was from Union County College. We're talking years ago, who went on to Kane as a history major. So
we love to hear that.
Yeah. So and I think they still do accept internships. So internships.
Wonderful. Now we've learned a lot about our commissioner chair, from her life in New York, from Brooklyn to Queens to CUNY, and then finally to Plainfield.
Right.
And now to the county seat, to Elizabeth and the Freeholder Board, and now she is the chair of the Union County Board of County Commissioners. In our next segment, we'll learn more about the chair's initiatives for this year as our county, our state, our nation, and our world come out of COVID. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside the College. I'm Dr. Maggie McMenamin, president of Union County College. My guest for this episode has been the Commissioner Chair from Union County, Professor Rebecca Williams. We've heard about her life prior to becoming chair, and she's been in the chair role for the last 3 months. So now we're going to learn more about the county initiatives and her chair's initiatives in this 2022 year where we're emerging from COVID. Chair Williams, Professor Williams, tell us about the initiatives.
Okay. One of the major initiatives is the broadband fiber ring that we are incorporating into all of our county buildings and into all of our parks. This is part of us regaining a connection to our residents, some of which was lost during the past 2 years of
Nothing
COVID.
more important than that right now.
And the other thing, we passed the resolution last week, is also one of the phases will incorporate all the municipalities, and ideally the last phase will incorporate all the schools. This will improve public safety and really that overall connectedness once this entire project is done, which we anticipate will take about 24 months or so.
So we'll be in a better position for the next pandemic?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a stronger ring. It's safer, and it really also has to do with public safety.
So there won't be those haves and have-nots
Right.
that we had at the beginning of the pandemic last
Right.
time. The families, the children, the workers who
Right.
could not get connectivity.
Right. That really is the crux of it, to really kind of bridge the what we call the digital divide
Congratulations.
in a real way.
Great.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you. What else? What else is happening? What other initiatives?
Okay. Related to my interest in theater, as chair, we have what are called chair initiatives. So one of our initiatives this year is a drama development grant. I served on grant committees in the past, and one thing that I noticed when I was much younger was that the money always went to established artists. So this grant would go to emerging artists, even college students who are interested in theater. It would provide a little bit of money for them to develop their work and do staged readings so that they can workshop, do audience talkbacks, use a black box theater to really work on their craft.
I
So
love it.
we're still working out the details, but look forward to that. The applications will be forthcoming, and I really do encourage young writers. It's open to everyone, but young writers or those who feel now they have sort of a calling to write, to apply.
We want to foster creativity,
Absolutely.
whether it's visual, performing, whatever it is, we want to foster creativity because we know that's the seed of innovation.
Right, right.
Our nation is relying on this generation of kids,
Absolutely.
of students, to be as creative as possible. Great work.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Tell me more. Tell me more. What other things are happening?
Okay, well, the connectivity is one of the big projects. We will be continuing our other grant opportunities, and we're trying to develop more on the. I guess it's not politics, but one could look at it this way. For the third year in a row, we have given the charge and we introduced a budget with zero increase in the county portion of taxes. Because
No
we
new
know-
taxes?
No new taxes. Read my lips, as they say, right? Somebody said that.
Well, that's in line with Union County College, no tuition increase 3 years in a row.
Right, right.
And we're able to do that because we do get support from the County of Union. So
And we're
thank you
very
for
glad
that.
to get that support, and that will continue. As the Elizabeth campus, the Scotch Plains, Plainfield campuses, you have really grown this college, and we're really proud to be a part of that and to provide resources in the budget to make sure that all students are given the means to succeed.
Good. As a part of COVID,
Yeah.
the county just did an extraordinary job in response to COVID, and I want to give a particular shout out to County Manager Ed Oatman and his leadership, particularly the food distributions, obviously the testing and the vaccination centers, but food distribution and rental assistance. I know that those are things that were cornerstones of the county initiatives during COVID. What are the plans to continue them as we are emerging from COVID?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you singled out our county manager, Ed Oatman. It was really under Ed's leadership that literally 2 weeks after COVID, Union County opened the first testing site in the state of New Jersey. So we jumped right on it and continue to provide food and rent, and we have the rental assistance that we're also providing. The food distribution, we've given out millions, I'm saying, of pounds of food to needy families. We do the food distributions as drive-ups, and we also do walk-ups in the city of Plainfield at our county building. We find that there are individuals and families who are desperately still in need of food. We want to make sure everyone is fed. We've restarted those, and if you go to ucnj.org, you can see exactly where we're doing, when we're doing the food distributions. The other thing that we're continuing with the testing in various locations where it seems the numbers and the needs are highest. So there's testing in Elizabeth, Hillside, Plainfield. We have a mobile unit that moves around a great deal. The other program we just rolled out, actually starting today, is our rental assistance program. As you know, a number of people were unable to work during COVID. They lost their jobs. Businesses closed during COVID, and the state had placed a moratorium.
That's right.
But that moratorium has been lifted, but people are still struggling. So we have an application. The portal just opened today. And again, if folks go to ucnj.org, they can find that, they will see that portal, and they can certainly apply to get some relief.
At Union County College, our mission is transforming our community one student at a time. But we know that before we can educate the students, they need to have food, clothing, and shelter.
Absolutely.
And the county stepping up during this national emergency, during this global health crisis, has really made a difference, and I've seen it in our students. So I want to congratulate you as a representative of your board for all that you've done. My mother always said the two most important things you can do are to feed people and teach them how to read. And it sounds like you do both of those things, Chair Williams.
I'm right in line with your mom's thinking. Yes.
So
absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, what do you see in your future? What's in the future for Rebecca Williams, Professor of English, Chair of the County Commissioners? The bus doesn't stop here. That bus is going somewhere. Where are you headed? What's next?
Well, I'm actually, if I can say, I am running for re-election to another full term, so I'll be kind of busy with that sort of campaign type stuff, visiting folks in the municipalities and seeing what further, resources constituents need. The chair position is a position for 1 year, so over the next 9 months, I'll be continuing to roll out and lead the county in a number of our initiatives, some of which we've mentioned, others that we haven't mentioned. Some things are still being rolled out. As far as my professional career, I am very happy to be a tenured professor at the college at which I teach, and really focusing on making sure that my students are able to excel and move on, whether that is right into the workforce or onto a 4-year college and beyond. So my focus really is, kind of like your mom, just to make sure our kids are nurtured and make sure that they are, are fed the words and are able to read and to advance themselves in whatever their career path is. So I see myself sort of as a conduit, and that's really how I want to spend the rest of my career. On a personal level, I'm doing a lot more writing now. So, I had a short story published a few years ago, but I haven't been able to really focus on that. So, and certainly being chair does not leave me a great deal of time, but I really kind of look forward to, continuing on the board in the role of commissioner, but also working on some of my personal projects as well as continuing my teaching career.
We need more women and more people of color, read diversity in leadership positions. I saw a post, a bunch of children sleeping in a subway in Ukraine, and the caption was, if women were in charge, this war wouldn't be going on right now. Do you have any final messages for our students to maybe inspire them to first get through college, but to pursue leadership positions?
Yeah. One of the things that a leader must have is compassion and understanding, no matter what sphere one decides to operate in. And so as students are moving forward with their careers, and I think, you mentioning what's happening in Ukraine is just up close and high relief for us to see. This is what happens when war and suffering, are at the forefront of a person's existence. They cannot do anything else. Those children in Ukraine and families in Ukraine, school is the last thing that they are focusing on right now because they've got to focus on staying alive. So our students, I won't say that they are blessed or privileged because I know the struggles that our students overall still have. But I would ask that they look at those struggles overseas, what's happening right now, and, look at their fellow students and folks who are not in circumstances where they're able to even be in college, and really look at that with compassion and understanding, and I guess I would just say, make sure that you understand what your goals are, but don't forget what other people are how other people are suffering, and how you are now in a place where the more education you receive, you can help people. So I know that's a little bit muddled, but I think there's a point in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Compassion and understanding are qualities that every leader must bring. Otherwise, it's just mechanical or scientific. So I appreciate your words of wisdom. Your path is one that inspires people like me and our students to do more than just sit back and spectate, but to get involved. And I'll add to your compassion and to your understanding the word courage, because when I see you, I see a courageous woman leader. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Dr. McMenamin. And I just want to say one last thing. I like the work that Union County College is doing, and you have the best slogan in the state: one student at a time. And coming here and seeing the degree of warmth and the degree of engagement that all of your staff has with our students, and obviously the faculty and our students, it's really inspiring. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This has been Inside the College. I'm Dr. Maggie McMenamin at Union County College. My guest for today's episode has been the chair of the Union County Board of County Commissioners, Professor Rebecca Williams. We're looking forward to seeing you next month when we go inside the college. See you then.